Let's unlock an incredible, often hidden chapter of American history, a saga of astonishing freedom, fierce resilience, and surprising cultural blending.
It really is.
Today, we're not just studying the Black Seminoles. We're stepping into their powerful narrative, drawing out the vivid details that shaped this, well, often overlooked group.
And what's so compelling, I think, about this particular deep dive is that it's far more than a simple story of resistance. It's about the genesis of a truly unique identity.
Okay.
The Black Seminoles emerged from the Gula people, the distinct African-American group, mainly from the low country regions of South Carolina and Georgia, who escaped plantations.
Right, seeking freedom.
Exactly. They didn't just survive. They forged a new way of life, playing a deeply significant yet largely unrecognized role in fighting for freedom. Their place in American history is remarkably distinct.
Distinct is definitely the word for it. It's a testament, isn't it, to how freedom can be forged in the most unexpected and challenging alliances. So, for this deep dive, our mission is to distill the most vital nuggets of knowledge from the sources you share about the Black Seminoles, their incredible journey, their unique alliances, and their enduring legacy. Consider this your direct route to understanding the core insights and surprising facts behind one of the most compelling struggles for liberty in North America.
Let's do it.
So let's set the scene first. Imagine Gula slaves, weary and desperate, making their perilous escape from the brutal rice plantations of South Carolina and Georgia. Can you picture the sheer courage it would take to embark on such a journey into the vast, unknown wilderness?
It's hard to even fathom. And if we look at the broader context, the 18th century, Florida offered them a unique, albeit dangerous refuge.
Right.
It was a true tropical wilderness, choked with jungles and malaria-ridden swamps. Not exactly welcoming terrain.
No.
But Spain, which claimed Florida at the time, strategically used it as a buffer against the expanding British colonies. And this led them to a fascinating policy. They offered sanctuary to escaped slaves and renegade Indians, as they were called, from neighboring territories. This created the perfect crucible for these very first free settlements.
So these first free communities started popping up. When exactly? Late 1700s?
By at least the late 1700s, yes, these initial free communities began to emerge.
You can almost visualize their distinct villages carved out of that wild landscape with thatched roof houses and fields where they cultivated corn and even, swamp rice.
Swamp rice, exactly. Adapting their agricultural knowledge.
Wow. Now, what's truly striking here, you said, is how the escaped Gulas didn't just coexist with the mixed population of refugee Indians, they actively fostered friendly relations.
Yes, and over time, they actually came to see themselves as parts of the same loosely organized tribe. This wasn't merely a strategic alliance for survival, though that was part of it. It truly was the birth of a shared identity.
And talk about cultural blending. It wasn't just practical alliances. This was a true fusion of traditions, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You had the Gulas adopting Indian clothing, and the Indians in turn acquiring a taste for rice and an appreciation for Gullah music and folklore. This sounds like a much deeper integration than just living side by side.
Precisely. And what's compelling about this unique situation is how vital the Gullahs were to mutual survival. It raises an important point.
Which is?
The sources suggest the Gullahs were, perhaps surprisingly, physically more suited to the tropical climate and possessed an indispensable knowledge of tropical agriculture.
Really? More suited than the Native Americans?
In some ways, yes, particularly regarding the agriculture they brought with them, like rice cultivation. The sources argue that without their assistance, the Indians simply would not have been able to cope effectively with the specific demands of the Florida environment. Their very survival was interdependent.
That interdependence sounds absolutely crucial. And the Gullahs didn't just survive, they thrived and even led. Tell us about Abraham, a prominent Black Seminole leader in the Second Seminole War.
Abraham is a fantastic example, a really key figure. The Indians called him Swanaf tu Snooki, a title that signified membership in the highest rank of war leaders.
Wow, so a top war leader.
Exactly. This demonstrates that blacks held important positions of leadership within this unique tribal structure, which is, well, pretty far from what you might expect in that era.
Definitely.
Both groups recognized the American settlers and slave owners as their common enemy, which of course solidified their bond.
Right, that shared threat.
And it was the Americans, interestingly enough, who coined the term Seminoles for the Florida Indians. It came from the Spanish word semiril, meaning wild or untamed,
Okay.
and they referred to the runaway Gullahs as Seminole Negroes or Indian Negroes,
Mhm.
which eventually led to the modern term we use today, Black Seminoles.
So as more and more runaway slaves and these so-called renegade Indians escaped south, growing the Seminole settlements, conflict with the Americans became, well, pretty much unavoidable, I
It was
imagine.
inevitable.
There were early skirmishes, right? 1812, 1816.
Mm.
You can feel the tension building.
That simmering tension absolutely erupted into the First Seminole War in 1818. General Andrew Jackson led an American army into Florida.
Jackson, okay.
The blacks and Indians fought desperately, side by side, but they were ultimately defeated in that conflict and driven further south into the more remote parts of central and southern Florida.
And Jackson himself called it.
He called it an Indian and Negro War. That phrasing itself underscores the significant role of the Black Seminoles right from the very beginning. It shows how the Americans saw them as a formidable combined threat.
The conflict then escalated dramatically. Tell us about the Second Seminole War, which began in 1835. What made that particular war so impactful and, well, so long?
The Second Seminole War was just brutal. A full-scale guerrilla war that lasted for an astonishing 6 years. It claimed the lives of 1,500 American soldiers.
6 years, 1,500 soldiers. That's
Yeah.
significant.
Hugely significant. And the Black Seminoles waged the fiercest resistance during this conflict. Their motivation was stark and existential. Capture or surrender meant death or return to slavery. There was no middle ground for them.
So they had the most to lose.
Absolutely. And crucially, in terms of combat, the sources state they were undeniably more adept at living and fighting in the jungles than their Indian comrades. Their skills, combined with their motivation, made them incredibly formidable opponents.
And the American military leaders saw this clearly.
Oh, very clearly.
You mentioned General Jessup, the American commander, actually informed the War Department, this, you may be assured, is a Negro and not an Indian war. That's a powerful statement.
It is, and a U.S. congressman of the period observed that these black fighters were contending against the whole military power of remodeled United States.
Wow. So what does that tell us about the perceived threat and the unique nature of the Black Seminoles themselves?
It tells us everything, really. Their motivation, fueled by that stark reality that capture meant re-enslavement, made them incredibly formidable. They fought with a ferocity born of desperation.
Understandable.
And what's particularly illuminating is the aftermath. When the Army finally captured the Black Seminoles, the officers actually refused to return them to slavery.
Refused.
They feared that these seasoned warriors, accustomed to their freedom, would wreak havoc on the southern plantations. They saw them as too dangerous, too independent to be re-enslaved safely.
Well, instead.
So in 1842, they were forcibly removed, along with their Indian comrades, to Indian Territory, which, as we know, is now Oklahoma.
So their struggle for freedom didn't end with the wars in Florida. It merely shifted west. That's incredible.
It just continued in a different form.
In Oklahoma, exiled from their strongholds, the Black Seminoles faced new, complex challenges. They were placed under the authority of the Creek Indians, who were slave owners themselves, and tried to curb their freedom.
A terrible irony, wasn't it? Escaping slavery only to be placed under the authority of other slave owners.
And to make matters worse, white slave traders came at night to kidnap their women and children. It must have felt like a continuous fight, just against different enemies.
It absolutely was. This new oppression immediately posed a profound question for them. How would they respond? What could they possibly do?
And what did they do?
They responded in a remarkable way. In 1850, a significant group of Black Seminoles and Seminole Indians did something incredibly daring. They fled south across Texas to the desert badlands of northern Mexico.
Mexico, wow. Another escape.
Another escape. They succeeded in establishing a free settlement there, and just as happened in Florida, it began to attract more runaway slaves from across the border, creating a new sanctuary.
And their fight for freedom continued even in Mexico. There was an incident in 1855.
Yes, they had to confront a heavily armed band of Texas Rangers and actually force them back into the U.S.
Yeah.
Defended their territory successfully. And while the Seminole Indians eventually returned to Oklahoma, the Black Seminoles remained in Mexico, constantly fighting to protect their settlement from marauding Comanche and Apache Indians. Their resilience truly shines through, even across borders.
It's just story after story of resistance and adaptation.
It really is.
But the next chapter of their story is truly remarkable. In 1870, after emancipation in the U.S., there was a pivotal shift. the U.S. cavalry in southern Texas actually invited some of the Black Seminoles to return and join the Army.
That's right, invited them back as allies. And this led to the official establishment of the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts.
So formal recognition.
Yes, a formal recognition of their extraordinary skills and bravery, turning former adversaries into invaluable allies in a new context, the context of the post-Civil War frontier.
And their valor was legendary. In 1875, you have this incredible detail. 3 of the scouts won the Congressional Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration, in a single engagement with the Comanche Indians on the Pecos River.
3 medals of honor and 1 fight. It's astonishing.
Just incredible.
Indeed. And, it's really no wonder they proved to be some of the finest soldiers in the U.S. cavalry.
Right. I mean, look at their history.
Exactly. If we connect this back to their earlier history, these were people who had fled plantations, built their own free settlements in the wilderness, and then fought almost continuously for 50 years to preserve their freedom.
50 years of constant struggle.
Their entire lives had been a masterclass in survival, strategy, and combat. They were, in many ways, born and bred warriors for freedom.
So today, the story of the Black Seminoles is still very much alive, though their communities are scattered. Scattered by war, really, across North America and the West Indies.
It's fascinating where these distinct communities are found now. You have the Black Indians on Andros Island in the Bahamas, descendants of those who escaped perhaps after the First Seminole War.
Bahamas, okay.
Then the Seminole freedmen, who are the largest group, live in rural Seminole County, Oklahoma. And they are still official members of the Seminole Indian Nation there.
Still connected officially.
Yes. Then there are the Muskogos in Nacimiento, Coahuila, northern Mexico, descendants of those who fled Oklahoma in 1850.
Still in Mexico.
Still there. And finally, the Scouts community lives in Brackettville, Texas, right outside the walls of the old fort where their grandfathers served in the cavalry.
Wow. Oklahoma, Mexico, Texas, the Bahamas. It's astounding that despite losing almost all contact with one another over the centuries, they have all retained the memory of their ancestors' gallant fight for freedom. How does such a powerful shared history persist across such vast distances and generations?
That's a crucial question, isn't it? And linguistics provides a partial answer. In 1978, Dr. Ian Hancock made a truly surprising discovery that offers a profound insight into this.
What did he find?
He found that elders among the Texas Scouts still speak a dialect of Gula.
No way, after all that time.
Think about that 140 years after their ancestors were exiled from Florida, and maybe as much as 200 years after their early ancestors escaped from those rice plantations.
That's incredible linguistic survival.
It's not just linguistic survival. It's a living testament to the sheer tenacity of cultural identity against generations of displacement and, frankly, the erasure of history.
And it wasn't just Texas.
No. Then, in 1980, it was found that elderly Oklahoma Seminole freedmen also speak Gula.
Both groups, wow.
It proves that even when the direct ancestral link, the conscious knowledge of it, is lost, the echoes of origin can persist in profound ways. Through language.
And here's the really intriguing detail you mentioned. Both the Oklahoma and Texas groups, despite their deep Florida heritage, were unaware of their connection with the Gula in South Carolina and Georgia.
That's right.
They truly did not know precisely where their slave ancestors had come from before fleeing into the Florida wilderness. Yet, the language survived.
Exactly. The memory was held in the language itself, even when the narrative was lost. And the cultural richness endures beyond language, too.
How so?
The Oklahoma Seminole freedmen, for instance, still possess a rich traditional culture combining both African and American Indian elements. This includes continuing to eat rice as a characteristic part of their diet, sometimes with okra or spinach leaves.
Just like the Gula and like their distant relatives in West Africa.
Precisely. These small, vivid details, foodways, language fragments, they really connect them across centuries and continents. It's powerful stuff.
So if we bring it all together, what does this extraordinary deep dive into the Black Seminoles mean for our understanding of history and identity? I mean, this story isn't widely known, but it feels profoundly significant.
It is.
It's an incredible testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and the sheer unyielding will to be free.
Absolutely. This narrative isn't just history. It's a powerful testament to the human spirit's ability to forge new identities and fight for core values against, well, overwhelming odds. The survival of their language and cultural practices, despite generations of displacement and that lost direct knowledge of their origins, offers a powerful lesson. That identity is fluid, yet deeply rooted. It can adapt and persist in the most challenging circumstances. Knowledge is most valuable when understood and applied, right? And this story offers profound insights into what it means to truly be free and how cultures intertwine, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of shared experience.
This story is such a powerful reminder of how freedom is won and maintained through incredible sacrifice and persistent adaptation. But it also makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does.
What other profound stories of cultural fusion, resistance, and survival are etched into the landscape of American history, maybe waiting to be rediscovered? And how might uncovering them reshape our understanding of identity and belonging today?
That's the question to ponder, definitely.
Yeah.
What else is out there hidden in plain sight?